Hey guys, I'm down by the river today. It's really cold, there's a storm coming in, and that reminds me of my camping trip. So I know you guys want to know what happened with my medical emergency. Stay tuned. So for those of you that didn't finish watching part 1 or 2 of my backcountry camping trip, I had a medical emergency in the bush. It was really scary. After some major exertion, I ended up with a very high heart rate. It came out of nowhere. I just come back to camp. I was trying to set up the fire. I stood up, felt a little bit, I don't want to say dizzy, but just kind of out of it. And my heart rate suddenly jumped up to 280 beats a minute. And then it remained at about 240 beats a minute for about 50 minutes thereafter. So it was really scary. I was kind of breathless, felt a little bit confused, a little bit like spacey, I'd say, you know, like I hadn't lost consciousness or anything, thank God. But I felt kind of weird. Any kind of exertion was too much. My heart rate would get higher. So it was really frightening. So today I'm going to discuss with you some of the things we had to think about and go through. And I want to give you guys a tour of my medical kit that I brought with me on the trip. So let's get into it. So one of the first things I had to do when the emergency happened, well, when I realized what was going on, was basically I had to alert my friend that I had an issue. So communication was totally key here. I had to let her know that I was experiencing a problem. And first off was identifying what was going on, and in a really calm fashion telling her that I needed to sort of sit down and have a little break. At first I thought I was just really exhausted because I'd worked, you guys saw how hard I was working, paddling, hiking, and chopping wood with Birch there because we knew a storm was coming in. And so basically I had to let my friend know I had a problem, which is first step. Let somebody know that you're experiencing an issue. Don't keep it to yourself. That's no way to get help. So I did that, and then both Birch and I have training in wilderness first aid, which is like super helpful. So another thing, make sure you are trained up in those kinds of things if you're going into the back bush, so that if you or a friend experiences an emergency, you know what to do. And after I told her I had an emergency, I started thinking what was going on. Was I exhausted? Was I not eating enough? Was I not hydrated enough? Or was I cold? So I wanted to basically make sure all of my basic needs were met. So what I did is I sat down by the fire. We made a fire, we warmed me up. What happened next was I decided to drink some water. That's the easiest thing to do. And I didn't want to drink any cold water. Cold water, of course, cools down your core, and that's not what I wanted to do. So what we did was we got one of my little, my cup set there, my little Stanley cup set, and we heated up some water, not to boiling obviously, but just warm enough. And I proceeded to drink a lot of water. I drank about 1.5 liters of water, maybe in the first half an hour, of course. Just want to make sure I was getting really hydrated, because I thought, well, maybe if I was dehydrated, that was the reason for my heart rate to be so high. My blood's getting sludgy, my heart's got to work harder, it's getting stressed out, it's kind of shocky. So I thought, well, let's drink some water. So I drank some warm water. I didn't have any tea. I had no caffeine. I want to emphasize I didn't have any caffeine, because certainly that would make things worse. So it's just basically plain warm water. And that worked, obviously. I hydrated myself really well. And I still, I would be checking, my pulse and my oxygenation capacity with my cool little pulse oximeter that I'll show you later. So that was kind of going on all the time, so I could see, cause and effect. If I drank the water, did my heart rate come down? And it didn't. So on to the next thing. So I, made sure I had warmed myself up. I drank a lot of water. And then when I still had issues, what I did was I had something to eat. So what I did was I was really feeling sluggish, so I didn't want to, make a huge meal. So what I did was I used one of those Cliff energy shots. Now there's no caffeine in those. It's basically sugar and electrolytes. So I had one of those, and that was about 50 minutes into the whole event. And lo and behold, 10 minutes after having that, I felt so much better. So my heart rate had dropped from like 240, which it had been at for the previous 50 minutes. It jumped back down to like 99 or 98. So that is great. That was like more normal. So led me to believe I was maybe a little bit exhausted and just depleted in carbohydrates. My body was really, really stressed out. So anyway, after that, we made sure to get, so it's kind of a short acting sugar. So after that, we made sure to make a nice hot meal for me. So, that was really helpful to do that. Birch helped me out. We had a nice hot meal. And then I felt a lot better for the rest of the night. Of course, I was rattled. Of course, all this emergency happens is when the sun is going down and the storm was coming in, the snow was coming in big time. So I was getting really a bit concerned with our timeline there, but everything worked out at the end. One thing when you're experiencing an emergency in the field is to assess the seriousness of it and to make yourself a timeline. And that's certainly what we did in this scenario. Basically, I gave myself a timeline of an hour to figure out, because I was feeling okay, but just a little bit weird, I gave myself an hour to figure out what was going on before we would activate the personal location beacon, which I have in my kit. And that gave us a deadline of, okay, we'll go over all the basics of my basic needs and make sure those are all met, see if that solves the issue. If it doesn't, it's a far more serious issue, and we need to move on with more advanced medical care and evacuation. One of the toughest things when you're experiencing a medical emergency in the bush is keeping your head on straight, like trying not to panic or be anxious. Because I had a heart issue, I most certainly could not get my heart rate up any higher. It seemed like every time I tried to exert myself, it would go higher and higher. So I knew in my mind I could not be stressed about the situation, I could not panic about the situation, or that could be it, right? So I had to get myself very quickly into a state of mind where I was not stressed out, I was calm, rational, trying to think through, trying to problem solve, and not panic. Of course, because my heart rate was so high, thoughts did go through our mind that, maybe something was really bad happening to my heart. I started getting some pain up my neck when my heart rate was so high. I thought, oh my gosh, maybe I'm having a heart attack. And Birch was like, yeah, women do have different signs with heart attacks. So of course, I had to keep my head on straight with that, because that's something that's really scary when you think of that, you could be having a heart attack. Am I having a heart attack? But I couldn't get myself worked up about that, because well, if I have a heart attack, honestly, the thought in my mind at the time was, well, if I die here, it's a beautiful spot. I couldn't get worked up about it. What am I going to do? Except hit the button to evacuate us and pray they get there in time. So yeah, that was pretty scary, thinking of all the possible things that could happen. So I did a few things just to make sure all my needs were met, made sure I was hydrated, made sure I was warm, and made sure I had something to eat. So it's really important to think of those things when you're having a situation like mine. Is this what's going on? Do you have any previous health conditions that could have triggered something like this? Were you doing something, that could have triggered something like this? Again, I just came off of a huge work bee to chop wood, so that could have triggered something, and so that was foremost in my mind, that could have triggered what happened. So after we paddled out, got home safe, I made sure to make a doctor's appointment, and my doctor thinks it was probably SVT, which is called supraventricular tachycardia. It can be triggered by exertion and things like that in young healthy people. So I have to go to the cardiologist to get that confirmed. They're going to put like a little ECG on me that I wear around for a couple days. It's called a Holter monitor, to see if the episode happens again. I'm not convinced it will, so we'll see. It can only be diagnosed basically by studying the electrical activity of the heart, and you kind of have to have an episode documented that way for it to be confirmed. So I don't know if this is going to happen again or not. It hasn't happened since the trip. I don't know if there's any way they can try to induce it to see if my heart would do something like that, but we'll find out. She said she wasn't overly concerned, but obviously it happened, so I got to figure it out. One thing they mentioned, if you have SVT, is you can stop it in the field by doing something called the Valsalva maneuver, where you plug your nose and you kind of bear down, and that will stop, that'll lower your heart rate a lot. I think another one is pushing in your eyeball, massaging your neck around here, I think is another one. But the bearing down one is easy, and everybody can do it. So that was some of the advice I was given. If that's what happens and I'm in the bush and it happens again and I can't get out quickly, that I could do that, and it may slow my heart down if that's truly what happened. Of course, if I'm in the city, different ball game, I call the ambulance or I just go to the hospital. So anyway, so that's kind of what they think's going on. We'll find out. I'll keep you guys updated. But for now, I'm back on track and doing what I love to do. All right, here's this bad boy. It's the Mountain Series medical kit, the Backcountry kit from Mountain Equipment Co-op. And I've got a few adds to it that I wanted to show you. But it's great if you're, even if you're, off-grid by yourself for a long period of time, or basically it services up to 10 people. So it's really good if you're guiding people and you want to have a good medical kit. So I'll just start at the top here. This is just a little extra stuff I have on top here. It's my little carabiner, but I've got my thermometer, a couple of thermometers actually, since it's just a whistle. I've got a tick key right here as well. So if I was to get a tick bite, I can remove a tick. This little guy right here is sort of taped up. What it is a CPR mask. So if you ever have to perform CPR, it's a little mask with a one-way valve on there. So you can put it on someone's mouth if you're doing CPR. So it's really handy. Fits on a keychain. It fits easily on this bag. Let's open this up and see what's inside. So I folded it all out here. It's quite a comprehensive kit, as you guys can see. This section right here is sort of the wound care department. Oh, there's a little sticker from where I had taken my medical wilderness first aid training. So in here in the wound care kit, obviously there's lots of things, you know, bandage scissors over here, lots of ways to bandage yourself, moleskin. Here I've got, oh yeah, more wound closure strips, hand sanitizer. In this section, I actually have some tucked away, some Band-Aids. Also, in case your water filtration fails, I have aqua tabs, stomach medication, polysporin. If you have a canker sore, I've got stuff. Of course, tape for bandaging. Back here is actually some documentation. So during an emergency, you can actually record what's going on with your patient. And when you pass them off to emergency services, you can give them all their info, like heart rate and breathing rate and what's going on, all that kind of stuff. Over here, I've got some medicine, so allergy pills, Tylenol, Advil, things like that in these little bottles. Right here, there is my awesome little pulse oximeter. This is what I used to get my heart rate and my pulse oxygenation when I had my emergency. I just picked one of these up actually at our local drugstore. You stick your finger in there and it tells you what your heart rate is and your blood oxygenation. Over here in the middle, I folded in a few Cliff bars, and this is a Cliff shot. This is what I took actually when I was feeling not so well, and that's what I feel converted my heart rate back to normal. It seemed to be within 10 minutes of having this, and I felt a lot better. This does not have caffeine, it just has sugar and electrolytes. You guys can take a look at the ingredients right there. These are really handy. I just picked them up at the Mountain Equipment Co-op, or REI, I guess you guys would have in the States. So let's move these out of the way. You can see here I've got an instant cold pack. Here's some electrolytes. So I also actually had some of this in my warm water as well. That was really tasty actually. Let's see what else we've got in here. Oh, just like a random bottle. Got like toothpaste matches, tweezers, a little tiny Leatherman there. It's always good and handy to have. Thermometer. This is also good for flushing wounds and stuff like that. At the cabin, I also carry a bottle of saline with me, and I have it at, well, inside the cabin actually. So we had that accident at the cabin with the saw there. I was able to activate quickly and flush out those wounds so they didn't become a problem. And this is a fracture and sprain section. So of course your triangular bandages. Oh, another wilderness and travel medicine guide. A wrap there, like if you sprained your ankle. This kit's really nice because it also has a SAM splint. So these are splints that you can use if you snapped your leg or your arm or something like that. These are really handy to have. If you ever end up using one, you can buy more SAM splints to tuck them in here. That's why I like this kit. You can always update it, add what you want to it. And this section is the bleeding and CPR section. So in here I've got some face masks. The CPR masks are actually on the front of the bag. Some gloves, peroxide, alcohol just tucked in there for other purposes, obviously. Some more compression pads, just like a little tourniquet or something. I've got a little ribbon there. Tampons for like nosebleeds, stuff like that. Yeah, all kinds of stuff there. So this is a really awesome kit. I really like it. I think it's totally worth it. There's a couple things though that I didn't have in it that I really wanted. Yeah, I was really kicking myself. I really wanted to have some aspirin because that would have been important for, if I really thought I was having a heart attack, you should take some baby aspirin. Didn't have that, so that's getting added to the kit. The other thing I really wanted was a way to measure blood sugar. If you're traveling with someone who has diabetes, or if you think you're really low in blood sugar and that's what your problem is, you may want to check it right away. So I ended up buying a small little kit at the drugstore that, say a diabetic would use to check their blood sugar. And it's like really, really small. So I'm going to tuck it into my little kit there. It's actually this little unit right here. I haven't used it, I haven't tried it, but it comes with a Lancet, so you can check your blood sugar. But yeah, as you can see, like look how small that is. So that's a way to check your sugar. It's called the One Touch Ultra Mini. Yep, so I've got this now. I'm going to pop it in my kit, and it just folds up in there nicely. I advise you do have some kind of kit. I know my kit is huge, but have a small kit in your car or in your house, in your cabins, just in case something happens. I like carrying the backcountry kit because I do spend quite a bit of time off grid, and I want to be prepared. And I think part of the reason why I could keep a level head through the whole thing was I knew that we were prepared. We had a great medical kit, and also really important, I had some way of accessing help outside of the area. So I carried, we had cell phones obviously, but the signal there was awful, and you couldn't get any bars. I had to climb up the top of that mountain there on our hike to actually get good service. So that was not reliable. So I had the PLB as a backup, my personal location beacon. I did a review on it earlier. Get something like that, that or a spot locator or inReach, something if you're really far off grid and you need help in that kind of a situation, you won't panic. You're going to get help. Will it be in time? Hard to say. So at least you have something, it'll give you some peace of mind that, at least you made an effort to get help when you needed it most. Thanks guys for watching today. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I hope it helped you out. If you have any questions, let me know down below in the comments. Have a great week. Take care.